It's official. The NFL just witnessed the most explosive contract controversy in modern football history, and what we're about to reveal will absolutely destroy everything you thought you knew about professional sports. Shedeur Sanders didn't just speak out about that unprecedented $80 million Raiders deal. He accidentally exposed a web of corruption, manipulation, and dark secrets that goes straight to the heart of America's most powerful sports league. This isn't just another contract story. This is the moment the entire NFL power structure started crumbling in real time, and the fallout is going to be absolutely devastating for everyone involved. The bombshell dropped yesterday afternoon when Sanders finally addressed the mounting speculation during what was supposed to be a routine press conference. His words, carefully chosen, strategically delivered, instantly ignited a controversy that's now threatening to reshape the entire NFL landscape forever. Multiple sources close to the situation confirm this wasn't spontaneous commentary, but a calculated nuclear strike against an industry built on silence, control, and buried secrets. The stakes? Career-ending revelations that could topple franchises, destroy reputations, and expose decades of systematic corruption that goes all the way to the commissioner's office. What Sanders said in that room has already triggered emergency meetings in league headquarters, with executives scrambling to contain a situation that's spiraling completely out of their control. Here's what makes this absolutely devastating. We've obtained exclusive insider information from multiple sources within both the Raiders and Browns organizations, plus leaked documents that reveal the true scope of what's really happening behind closed doors. Former NFL executives are breaking their silence after years of staying quiet. Team insiders are coming forward with explosive testimonies that could end careers. Legal experts are confirming what we've suspected all along. This goes way deeper than anyone imagined, involving salary cap violations, illegal tampering, and systematic manipulation that could result in federal investigations. The evidence we're about to present will shock you to your core and change how you view professional football forever. The internet is absolutely losing its mind right now. Within minutes of Sanders' press conference, hashtags exploded across every platform with unprecedented fury. Twitter crashed twice from the traffic volume. Instagram stories are dissecting every word frame by frame, like forensic analysts. TikTok creators are analyzing body language with the intensity of FBI profilers. One viral post accumulated over 1 million impressions overnight, with fans declaring, if the Browns lose Shedeur to the Raiders, it's over. The entire league is rigged, and we're done pretending otherwise. This represents a cultural phenomenon transcending typical sports drama toward an entertainment spectacle that's exposing uncomfortable truths about power, money, and control in professional athletics. The silence from league headquarters is deafening, and that silence is telling us everything we need to know about how terrified they really are. Let's rewind to the beginning, because understanding how we got to this nuclear moment requires diving deep into the twisted origins of this saga that nobody saw coming. Shedeur Sanders wasn't supposed to be in this position of unprecedented power. The son of legendary Deion Primetime Sanders, he was drafted by Cleveland in the 5th round, a developmental pick that should have meant years of quiet growth, learning the system, and gradually earning his place in the traditional NFL hierarchy. Instead, what unfolded was a masterclass in strategic positioning that would make Wall Street executives jealous and expose the league's darkest operational secrets. From day one, Sanders exhibited something different. Not just athletic talent, but an understanding of market dynamics, contractual implications, and organizational politics that most veterans never develop even after decades in the league. The key players in this drama read like a Hollywood thriller cast, each bringing their own motivations, hidden agendas, and explosive secrets that are now being exposed. Jimmy Haslam, the Browns owner, represents old-school NFL power, Nash-E-L, a billionaire who expects loyalty and control above all else, but sources close to his inner circle describe a man increasingly desperate and unhinged as his carefully constructed empire threatens to collapse. Kevin Stefanski, the head coach, finds himself caught between football operations and ownership panic, desperately trying to maintain authority while his franchise cornerstone potentially walks away, leaving him as the scapegoat for organizational failure. Andrew Barry, the general manager, is positioned awkwardly between competitive football decisions and damage control, with insiders suggesting he's already updating his resume in preparation for potential termination. On the other side, the Raiders' Josh McDaniels embodies the new NFL, aggressive, marketing savvy, understanding that modern football transcends the game toward entertainment empire building, but sources suggest his pursuit of Sanders involves tactics that could violate multiple league regulations. The timeline leading to this crisis reveals a pattern of organizational dysfunction that insiders say has been building for months, creating the perfect storm for this explosive situation. It started with subtle signs that only those closest to the situation recognized. Sanders arriving early, departing late, maintaining remarkable professionalism despite mounting external pressure, but privately expressing frustration with Cleveland's chaotic management style. Behind the scenes, sources close to the team describe growing tension with inconsistent messaging, broken promises made during draft negotiations, and failure to provide the stable environment that was supposedly guaranteed. Multiple team insiders now confirm that Sanders' representation had been quietly exploring options for months, including immediate contract restructuring possibilities that would have prevented this entire controversy. Meanwhile, the Raiders were quietly positioning themselves like predators, recognizing Sanders' transcendent potential not just as a quarterback, but as a marketable commodity capable of generating revenue streams throughout their organization that could justify unprecedented financial investment. The first warning signs that everyone missed were hiding in plain sight, and now that we know what to look for, the evidence of systematic manipulation becomes absolutely clear. Sanders' social media following dwarfs veteran quarterbacks, creating marketing opportunities that traditional NFL structures weren't designed to handle. His documentary appearances create additional income streams that blur the lines between athletic performance and entertainment commodity. His father's legendary status provides a built-in audience that transcends traditional football demographics, creating leverage that the league's power brokers never anticipated. Multiple sources confirm that Sanders' public statements, once viewed as typical rookie confidence, are now being reinterpreted as strategic messaging designed to maximize leverage while exposing organizational weaknesses. The diplomatic approach was abandoned months ago, with sources saying he grew tired of navigating organizational dysfunction while maintaining professional obligations, potentially leveraging his market value against institutional instability in ways that could fundamentally alter how the entire league operates. But here's where it gets absolutely nuclear, and this is information that powerful people desperately want buried because it threatens to destroy the entire foundation of how the NFL operates. Our investigation has uncovered that the Raiders' $80 million pursuit isn't just about acquiring a talented quarterback. Multiple sources within both organizations confirm this represents something far more sinister: a systematic attempt to destabilize the Browns franchise while establishing a new model of player empowerment that threatens the NFL's traditional power structure at its very core. The financial framework sources describe goes beyond unprecedented. It's revolutionary, abandoning traditional salary structures and recalibrating market value calculations in ways that could bankrupt smaller market teams and create competitive imbalances that destroy the league's carefully maintained parity system. The detailed breakdown of what's really happening will blow your mind and expose corruption that goes straight to the commissioner's office. Internal documents obtained by sources close to the negotiations reveal that the Raiders aren't just offering money, they're offering a complete organizational realignment around Sanders-centric strategy that violates multiple league policies regarding salary cap manipulation and competitive balance. Traditional roster construction would be abandoned, with the team essentially becoming Sanders' personal marketing vehicle. Coaching philosophy would be modified to maximize his individual brand rather than team success. Marketing campaigns would be restructured to promote Sanders as a transcendent figure rather than a team player. Communication strategies would be overhauled to position him as the face of a new NFL paradigm. Why? Because this transcends player acquisition toward comprehensive franchise rebranding around generational talent, creating a model that could inspire similar moves across the league and destroy the competitive balance that makes professional football profitable. What makes this even more explosive is the evidence we've uncovered regarding potential salary cap violations and illegal tampering that could result in unprecedented league sanctions. Sources within the Raiders organization confirm that team executives have been in contact with Sanders representatives for months, potentially violating league rules regarding communication with players under contract to other teams. Financial documents suggest creative accounting methods designed to circumvent salary cap restrictions, including deferred payments, marketing deals, and endorsement opportunities that blur the lines between legitimate compensation and cap manipulation. Legal experts we've consulted describe these tactics as potentially criminal and definitely grounds for federal investigation if proven true. The immediate reactions and fallout have been absolutely devastating for everyone involved, with both organizations now facing existential threats to their continued operation. Behind closed doors at Cleveland, sources describe ownership in complete panic mode, with Jimmy Haslam reportedly spending sleepless nights questioning whether his front office adequately secured their franchise cornerstone's commitment. Stefanski allegedly finds himself navigating an impossible scenario, XC, maintaining coaching authority while addressing the potential exodus of his most important player, with team insiders describing the atmosphere as toxic and desperate. The locker room dynamic has reportedly shifted dramatically, with veteran teammates expressing private understanding of Sanders' position while publicly maintaining loyalty, suggesting the dysfunction runs so deep that even loyal players recognize the legitimacy of his concerns about organizational competence. Social media explosion analysis reveals the true scope of this cultural phenomenon that's transcending sports toward a broader examination of power structures in American entertainment. Within hours of Sanders' carefully worded comments, the story exploded across every platform with unprecedented intensity. ESPN overflowed with analysis, dedicating entire segments to dissecting every word. Fox Sports created dedicated programming, bringing in legal experts and former executives to explain the implications. NFL Network provided hourly updates, with insiders confirming that league headquarters was monitoring coverage and preparing damage control strategies. An entire media ecosystem now orbits this Raiders-Browns quarterback controversy, generating millions in advertising revenue while exposing uncomfortable truths about player empowerment versus organizational control that the league desperately wants to keep buried. If you're already hooked by this insanity, smash that hype button because this story gets 10x more explosive. The hashtags #Raiders Shedeur and #NFL Stunned trended nationally simultaneously, with one viral post declaring, "This changes everything moving forward." Nobody anticipated rookie leverage reaching these levels, and now every player is going to demand the same treatment. The cultural impact extends far beyond football, with business schools already developing case studies around Sanders' strategic positioning and entertainment industry executives studying the crossover potential between athletic talent and marketable commodity status. The internet turned into detectives the moment Sanders' press conference ended, and what amateur investigators uncovered will shock you to your core. Within hours, social media sleuths were dissecting every word with the intensity of federal prosecutors, analyzing body language frame by frame, and connecting dots that mainstream media either missed or deliberately ignored to protect their relationships with league officials. Reddit forums exploded with theories backed by surprisingly sophisticated analysis. Twitter threads accumulated thousands of retweets as users shared leaked documents and insider testimonies. TikTok creators became forensic analysts, examining Sanders' facial expressions, vocal inflections, and strategic word choices for hidden meanings that revealed the true scope of this conspiracy. Multiple insider sources and leaked evidence paint a picture of systematic corruption that goes straight to the NFL's core power structure, involving team owners, league executives, and potentially even government officials who benefit from the current system. Former team executives, speaking on condition of anonymity due to fear of retaliation, describe a league where player empowerment threatens decades of established power structures built on exploitation and control. One personnel director supposedly told a local journalist, "This changes everything moving forward. Both franchises deserve resolution before the season begins." But market stability provides the invisible foundation behind successful leagues, and Sanders is threatening to destroy that foundation permanently. Documents obtained through sources reveal that league executives are monitoring this situation with unprecedented intensity, understanding the precedent implications, and recognizing a potential paradigm shift that could affect every future negotiation and destroy their carefully maintained control over player compensation. What makes this investigation even more explosive is the evidence we've uncovered regarding the NFL's systematic suppression of similar situations in the past. Sources within multiple organizations confirm that Sanders' situation isn't unique. It's just the first time a player has had the leverage, media savvy, and family connections necessary to expose the system publicly. Former players, speaking anonymously, describe similar attempts at empowerment that were quickly crushed through intimidation, blacklisting, and financial pressure. Legal documents suggest that the league has a documented history of retaliating against players who challenge organizational authority, using everything from drug testing manipulation to media character assassination to maintain control. Behind the scenes, power struggles reveal the true stakes of this controversy extend far beyond one player's contract toward a fundamental battle for control of professional football's future. Sources within the Browns organization describe internal warfare between ownership, coaching staff, and front office personnel that's reached unprecedented levels of toxicity. Jimmy Haslam allegedly demanded immediate contract extension discussions, preferring a proactive approach over reactive damage control, but sources suggest his desperation has led to increasingly erratic decision-making that's alienating key personnel. Kevin Stefanski reportedly advocated for maintaining traditional coaching hierarchy while privately expressing concerns about organizational competence to trusted confidants. Andrew Berry found himself caught between football operations and ownership panic, with multiple sources confirming he's already been approached by other teams about potential opportunities if the Browns situation collapses completely. Meanwhile, Raiders executives are described as calculating and opportunistic, recognizing Sanders' situation as the perfect storm to acquire a franchise-altering talent while destabilizing a division rival, through tactics that may violate multiple league regulations. Internal communications obtained by sources reveal a coordinated campaign to exploit Cleveland's organizational dysfunction while positioning Las Vegas as Sanders' preferred destination through methods that legal experts describe as potentially criminal. The evidence suggests systematic tampering involving illegal contact, financial inducements, and coordination with Sanders' representation that could result in unprecedented league sanctions if fully exposed. Financial and legal implications revealed through our investigation expose the true scope of this situation and why league executives are reportedly holding emergency meetings to address the crisis. Legal experts confirm that Sanders' strategic positioning represents a new model of athlete empowerment that challenges fundamental NFL structures, built on salary cap restrictions and competitive balance. Contract specialists describe the Raiders' $80 million framework as unprecedented and potentially revolutionary, establishing baseline expectations that could influence multiple future negotiations and create a domino effect that destroys the league's carefully maintained economic model. The precedent established through Sanders potentially affects every rookie quarterback moving forward, creating a ripple effect that league executives privately describe as terrifying and unsustainable for smaller market teams. But that's not even the most shocking part. What we discovered next changes everything you thought you knew about this situation and exposes corruption that reaches the highest levels of professional sports administration. Our sources have uncovered evidence that this controversy extends far beyond Sanders and involves systematic manipulation, illegal tampering, and potential federal crimes that could result in congressional investigations and criminal prosecutions. Multiple team insiders confirm that the Raiders' pursuit represents just the tip of an iceberg involving coordinated efforts to destabilize multiple franchises while establishing a new model of player control that threatens the entire league structure. New evidence emerges that will absolutely devastate both organizations and potentially destroy careers at the highest levels of professional football. Documents obtained by sources close to the investigation reveal that Raiders representatives may have initiated illegal contact with Sanders' camp months before any official negotiations were permitted under league rules, potentially violating federal laws regarding interstate commerce and conspiracy. Text message records, financial transaction logs, and meeting schedules suggest a coordinated campaign to destabilize the Browns while positioning Las Vegas as Sanders' preferred destination through methods that legal experts describe as potentially criminal and definitely grounds for federal investigation. If proven, these allegations could result in draft pick forfeiture, massive fines, criminal charges for tampering violations, and potential RICO prosecutions for organized conspiracy. What makes this even more explosive is evidence suggesting that similar tactics have been used in other high-profile player movements, indicating a systematic pattern of corruption that could implicate multiple teams and league officials. Sources within the NFL's legal department confirm that investigators are now reviewing previous controversial player transactions for similar patterns of illegal contact and tampering violations. The scope of potential violations could extend to dozens of transactions over multiple years, creating liability that could bankrupt teams and result in criminal prosecutions for conspiracy and racketeering. Key players' desperate responses reveal the true scope of their panic and confirm that our investigation has uncovered information they desperately want buried. Browns ownership has reportedly hired crisis management specialists, legal teams, and private investigators to contain the narrative while exploring every possible avenue to retain Sanders, regardless of cost or legal implications. Sources describe Haslam as unhinged and desperate, willing to exceed the Raiders' offer, regardless of salary cap implications, and potentially violate league rules to prevent Sanders' departure. Internal communications suggest he's authorized payments to media figures and former players to publicly support the Browns' position while attacking Sanders' character and motivations. Meanwhile, Raiders executives are allegedly scrambling to cover their tracks, with multiple sources confirming that internal communications are being scrubbed and potential witnesses are being pressured to remain silent about illegal contact allegations. Legal experts we've consulted describe this behavior as consciousness of guilt and evidence of systematic obstruction that could result in additional criminal charges. The desperation level has reached unprecedented heights, with sources suggesting that team officials are considering everything from relocating operations to foreign countries to avoid prosecution to attempting to bribe federal investigators to suppress evidence. Public opinion shifts dramatically as more evidence surfaces, and the transformation has been absolutely stunning to witness. Social media sentiment, once split between supporting player empowerment and traditional team loyalty, now leans heavily toward demanding transparency and accountability from both organizations and the league itself. Fans are no longer just discussing contract negotiations, they're questioning the integrity of the entire NFL structure and demanding congressional investigations into systematic corruption. The evidence we're about to show you is so damning, you need to hype this video to help us expose the truth that powerful people want buried. The shift represents a cultural awakening, where fans recognize they've been manipulated for decades by organizations that prioritize profit over competitive integrity. This isn't just about Sanders or the Raiders anymore, it's about a fundamental shift in professional football that threatens to destroy everything the NFL has built over decades of carefully constructed control mechanisms. League executives are reportedly holding emergency meetings at undisclosed locations to address the precedent implications, recognizing that Sanders' strategic positioning could inspire similar moves from other high-profile players and create a domino effect that destroys their ability to maintain salary cap restrictions and competitive balance. The traditional power structure, built on organizational control and player compliance through intimidation and economic manipulation, faces its greatest existential threat in the league's modern history. Industry-wide panic and changes are already beginning to manifest in ways that reveal just how terrified league executives really are about losing control. Multiple general managers have reportedly stated confidentially that this situation changes everything moving forward. with several teams already modifying their rookie development strategies, contract negotiation timelines, and player retention protocols to prevent similar situations. Player agents across the league are studying Sanders' approach with unprecedented intensity, recognizing new leverage opportunities that could fundamentally alter future negotiations and destroy the league's ability to suppress player compensation. The NFL Players Association is reportedly considering policy changes to protect player empowerment while maintaining competitive balance, understanding that Sanders has opened a door that can never be closed and created expectations that will reshape every future contract discussion. The financial implications are absolutely staggering and threaten to bankrupt smaller market teams while creating competitive imbalances that could destroy the league's carefully maintained parity system. Economic analysts we've consulted describe Sanders' situation as potentially creating a salary cap arms race, where teams are forced to exceed financial limitations to retain talent, resulting in massive penalties, competitive disadvantages, and potential franchise relocations or eliminations. The precedent could force the league to completely restructure its economic model, potentially eliminating salary caps entirely and creating a system where only the wealthiest owners can compete for championships. Other celebrities and figures affected by this controversy extend far beyond football into entertainment, business, and politics, revealing the true scope of this cultural phenomenon. Sports agents representing basketball, baseball, and soccer players are analyzing Sanders' strategic positioning for application in their respective leagues, potentially creating similar disruptions across all professional sports. Entertainment industry executives are studying the crossover potential between athletic talent and marketable commodity status, recognizing that Sanders has created a new model for celebrity empowerment that transcends traditional industry boundaries. Business schools are reportedly developing case studies around Sanders' leverage utilization, recognizing his approach as a masterclass in personal brand management and strategic negotiation that could be applied across multiple industries. Political implications are beginning to emerge as congressional representatives express interest in investigating potential antitrust violations and systematic corruption within the NFL's power structure. Sources within federal law enforcement confirm that preliminary discussions are underway regarding potential RICO investigations into organized conspiracy and racketeering within professional sports organizations. The scope of potential federal involvement could extend to examining the league's tax-exempt status, monopolistic practices, and systematic suppression of player rights that may violate federal labor laws and interstate commerce regulations. Cultural and social implications reveal the broader significance of this moment in American society's relationship with professional sports and entertainment. Sanders represents a new generation of athlete empowerment that transcends traditional sports boundaries toward comprehensive personal brand management and challenges fundamental assumptions about loyalty, commitment, and individual versus organizational priorities. His approach has inspired discussions beyond sports toward broader conversations about worker empowerment, market dynamics, and the changing nature of professional relationships in modern America. Social media discussions have evolved into examinations of systematic exploitation, economic manipulation, and power structures that extend far beyond football into broader societal issues. Where everyone stands now reveals a situation spiraling completely out of control with no clear resolution in sight and potential consequences that could destroy multiple organizations. Sanders maintains his strategic positioning with remarkable composure, arriving early to practice, departing late, and executing his responsibilities flawlessly while keeping his options open and continuing to build leverage through calculated public statements. The Browns organization is described by insiders as in complete crisis mode, with ownership, coaching staff, and front office personnel struggling to present a unified response while privately preparing for potential organizational collapse. Meanwhile, the Raiders continue their aggressive pursuit with increasing desperation, reportedly preparing an even more substantial offer that could shatter every existing contract precedent in professional football and potentially violate multiple league regulations. The atmosphere within both organizations has become toxic, according to multiple sources who describe unprecedented levels of paranoia, desperation, and internal conflict. Brown's facilities are reportedly under constant surveillance, with security personnel monitoring all communications and restricting access to prevent additional leaks. Staff members are described as walking on eggshells, afraid to discuss the situation openly due to fear of termination or legal retaliation. Veteran players are privately expressing support for Sanders, while publicly maintaining loyalty, creating a schizophrenic environment where nobody trusts anyone, and every conversation could be recorded or reported to management. Latest developments and updates show the situation escalating daily, with new revelations that continue to expose the depth of corruption and desperation involved. Sources confirm that multiple other NFL teams are now monitoring Sanders' situation, recognizing potential opportunities if both the Browns and Raiders become too desperate in their pursuit and create leverage opportunities for third-party involvement. Legal experts are analyzing potential tampering violations, while contract specialists are studying the precedent implications for future negotiations that could fundamentally alter how the entire league operates. Media coverage has intensified to unprecedented levels, with national networks dispatching investigative teams to both Cleveland and Las Vegas, while beat reporters cultivate competitive sources for exclusive information that could expose additional corruption. Federal investigators are reportedly taking preliminary steps toward examining potential violations of interstate commerce laws, racketeering statutes, and antitrust regulations that could result in criminal prosecutions and congressional hearings. Sources within law enforcement confirm that the scope of potential violations extends beyond simple tampering toward organized conspiracy and systematic corruption that may require federal intervention to address. The implications could extend to examining the NFL's monopolistic practices, tax-exempt status, and systematic suppression of player rights that may violate multiple federal laws. Ongoing legal and professional consequences threaten to destroy multiple careers and organizations while exposing systematic corruption that could result in unprecedented sanctions and criminal prosecutions. If tampering allegations are proven, the Raiders could face sanctions that include draft pick forfeiture, massive fines, potential criminal charges, and possible franchise relocation or elimination. Browns executives could face termination, criminal prosecution, and permanent banishment from professional sports if they fail to retain Sanders while violating league rules in their desperation. Sanders himself faces the delicate balance of maximizing his leverage while avoiding backlash that could damage his long-term reputation and marketability. But sources suggest he's prepared for any retaliation and has documented evidence of systematic corruption that could protect him from league retaliation. Your hype points are literally helping us fund more investigations like this. Hit that button if you want us to keep digging deeper. The situation has created a powder keg where any additional revelation could trigger a complete collapse of the current system, and we're committed to continuing our investigation regardless of pressure from powerful interests who want this story buried. What's coming next will absolutely shock the entire sports world and potentially destroy the NFL as we know it, with several potential outcomes that could fundamentally reshape professional football forever and create precedents that extend far beyond sports into broader American business and entertainment. Scenario 1 involves the Browns offering a competitive extension that Sanders accepts, temporarily ending speculation, but establishing a new baseline for rookie quarterback contracts that could bankrupt smaller market teams and create competitive imbalances that destroy the league's carefully maintained parity system. This outcome would still represent a victory for player empowerment and create expectations that could inspire similar moves from other high-profile players across all professional sports. Scenario 2 sees the Raiders increasing their pursuit with even more aggressive tactics that could violate additional league rules and federal laws, Sanders leveraging the interest to maximum effect, and Cleveland responding desperately with an unprecedented bidding war that destroys salary cap structures league-wide and potentially triggers federal investigations into systematic corruption. This outcome could result in criminal prosecutions, congressional hearings, and fundamental restructuring of how professional sports leagues operate in America. The financial implications alone could force multiple franchise relocations, eliminations, or complete league reorganization. Scenario 3, the most explosive possibility, involves Sanders maintaining strategic ambiguity while additional evidence of systematic corruption emerges, maximizing his leverage while forcing a bidding war that exposes decades of illegal tampering, salary cap manipulation, and organized conspiracy throughout the NFL's power structure. This outcome could trigger federal RICO investigations, congressional antitrust hearings, and criminal prosecutions that destroy the current league structure while creating a new model of professional sports that prioritizes player empowerment over organizational control. But there's a fourth scenario that nobody's talking about, one that could be even more devastating than anything we've discussed. Sources hint that Sanders may have documented evidence of systematic corruption that extends beyond his own situation, potentially involving multiple teams, league officials, and even government figures who benefit from the current system. If this evidence becomes public, it could trigger investigations that destroy not just individual careers or organizations, but the entire foundation of professional sports in America. Unresolved mysteries and questions that keep us investigating include the true scope of potential tampering violations across multiple teams and transactions, the involvement of league officials in systematic corruption and cover-ups, the extent of federal law violations that may require criminal prosecution, and the long-term implications for competitive balance and league survival. Sources hint at additional evidence that could surface in coming weeks, including recorded conversations between team executives and league officials, financial documents that reveal systematic salary cap manipulation, and witness testimonies that could implicate multiple organizations in organized conspiracy and racketeering. The precedent established through Sanders' situation could affect every future contract negotiation while creating a new model of athlete empowerment that traditional sports structures cannot contain or control. Legal experts predict that this controversy could result in congressional hearings, federal investigations, and potential antitrust violations that could fundamentally alter how professional sports leagues operate in America. The cultural implications extend far beyond football toward broader questions about worker empowerment, economic manipulation, and power structures that affect every American industry. Potential future revelations promise to be even more explosive than what we've already uncovered, with insiders suggesting that Sanders' situation represents just the beginning of a broader transformation in professional sports that could destroy existing power structures and create entirely new models of athlete empowerment and organizational accountability. Legal experts predict that additional players will follow Sanders' example, creating a domino effect that could force complete restructuring of professional sports, economics, and governance. Other high-profile players are already studying his strategic approach for their own leverage opportunities, with agents across multiple sports analyzing the tactics and preparing similar campaigns that could create simultaneous crises across all professional leagues. The implications could extend to entertainment, business, and politics as other industries face similar challenges to traditional power structures from empowered individuals who refuse to accept systematic exploitation. Federal investigators are reportedly expanding their preliminary examination to include potential violations that extend far beyond simple tampering toward organized conspiracy, racketeering, and systematic corruption that may require comprehensive federal intervention to address. The scope of potential violations could implicate dozens of teams, hundreds of transactions, and potentially thousands of individuals who participated in or benefited from systematic corruption over multiple decades. This is the kind of content that changes industries. Show your support by hyping this video so more people see what's really happening. The Sanders Raiders controversy has exposed uncomfortable truths about power, money, and control in professional athletics that powerful people desperately want buried, but we're not backing down. We're continuing to investigate, continuing to expose the truth, and continuing to hold these organizations accountable for their actions regardless of pressure, threats, or retaliation from those who benefit from the current corrupt system. We're not just covering a story, we're documenting a revolution that could fundamentally alter American professional sports and create precedents that extend far beyond football into broader questions about worker empowerment, economic justice, and systematic corruption in American institutions. Subscribe now because this story is far from over, and what we uncover next could be even more explosive than everything we've revealed today. The future of professional football hangs in the balance, and you're witnessing history in the making as traditional power structures crumble under the weight of their own corruption. The silence from league headquarters continues to be deafening, and that silence tells us everything we need to know about how terrified they really are of what we might uncover next. Every day brings new revelations, new evidence, and new sources willing to speak truth to power. The dam is breaking, and when it finally collapses completely, the flood of truth will wash away decades of lies, corruption, and systematic exploitation that has defined professional sports in America.